Hey man, let's get something straight from the start. Getting what you want from women isn't about manipulation. It's not about pickup lines, tricks, or trying to force attraction. It's about understanding the deep core mechanics of desire, respect, and influence. Because when you grasp the psychology behind what pulls a woman in and holds her attention, truly holds it, you stop chasing outcomes and you start becoming the outcome. Most guys are busy trying to convince a woman to want them. But the man who understands this game at its root, he doesn't convince, he doesn't pursue, he creates gravity, and gravity doesn't beg. The first truth you need to internalize is this: women respond to energy more than words. You could say all the right things, but if your energy reeks of need, of desperation, of wanting approval, you've already lost. Getting what you want begins with the energy you carry into every interaction. Are you grounded? Are you indifferent to her reaction? Are you rooted in your own truth, whether she stays or walks away? Because women don't fall for words, they fall for presence, that calm, unshakable, unapologetic presence of a man who doesn't need her, but knows his own value so deeply that she starts to question her own just being around him. The second secret: stop giving her everything up front. Mystery creates desire. When you walk into a room and she can immediately read your entire emotional playbook, there's no tension, no curiosity, no draw. But when you keep parts of yourself hidden, when your intentions aren't broadcasted in neon lights, when your emotional world is tightly sealed, it drives her insane in the best way. She'll lean in, she'll test, she'll invest. Because what she can't fully grasp becomes what she can't stop thinking about. So stop handing over your heart on a silver platter. Wrap it in silence, in poise, in self-respect. Make her earn the deeper layers of you. Another truth most men avoid: detachment is power, not coldness, not indifference, but the kind of detachment that says, I want her, but I don't need her. That frame alone shifts everything. When a woman senses that you're not emotionally invested in the outcome, when she feels that you won't crumble if she pulls away, she becomes more invested. Because suddenly you're not another guy trying to secure her, you're the guy she's trying to figure out. That reversal of energy, where she's the one thinking about you, wondering if she's enough, working to win your attention, that's the key. Detachment creates pursuit. Now, let's talk about control. Emotional control isn't about suppressing what you feel, it's about directing it. Most men become reactive. The moment a woman shifts, she pulls away and he panics. She throws a test and he explains. She acts cold and he overcompensates. But the man who stays calm, who lets her moods pass like waves without moving an inch, becomes magnetic, because deep down, every woman is testing to see, can he handle me? Not just my body, but my chaos, my doubts, my storms. And when she sees you don't flinch, that's when trust is built. That's when her guard comes down. That's when she gives you everything, because she knows you won't be shaken. Let's break something open here. You don't get what you want by asking for it. You get it by embodying the man who already receives it. Want loyalty? Be the man who doesn't tolerate anything less. Want passion? Be the man who inspires it through strength, mystery, and depth. Want respect? Be the man who doesn't chase what disrespects him. The reason this works is because women operate through emotional calibration. They don't respond to what you say you want. They respond to what you show you'll accept. So the moment you start walking in alignment with your standards, without compromise, you start getting everything you once begged for. Another key to getting what you want: silence. Most men talk themselves out of respect. They over-explain, they overshare, they try to win her understanding. But every time you explain your worth, you devalue it. Silence, on the other hand, creates power. It forces her to wonder. It signals strength. It tells her, I don't need to prove myself. I already know who I am. And that frame, that silence in the face of chaos, it drives her wild, because silence makes her work. It creates emotional labor, and the more effort she invests in understanding you, the more deeply connected she feels, even if she can't explain why. Understand this: she doesn't want to lead. She may act like she does. She may say she's independent, in control, doesn't need anyone. But deep down, she wants to be led. Not dominated, not controlled, led. She wants to feel the steady hand of a man who moves with direction, who sets the tone, who doesn't ask permission to exist. The reason so many men fail with women is because they're waiting for a green light that never comes. But the man who leads, who moves with clarity and command, he bypasses all that confusion. He doesn't ask, is this okay? He says, follow me or don't. I'm going regardless. And here's one that will flip the game, reward her less when she tries more. That's right. Most men over-reward the moment a woman gives them attention. She texts back, he showers her with compliments. She calls, he drops everything. But what this teaches her is that her minimal effort wins your maximum energy. Reverse it. When she pulls back, you go silent. When she invests, you acknowledge, but never pedestalize. Why? Because obsession grows in uncertainty. Not knowing exactly where she stands with you keeps her emotionally engaged. It's not cruelty, it's reality. Human desire thrives in tension. Use it. Finally, live a life that makes her chase it. The truth is, you don't get what you want from women by making them the center of your world. You get it by building a world so full, so rich, so undeniably magnetic that she wants in. A life of discipline, a mission that lights you up, a purpose that grounds you so deeply, no rejection could ever shake it. When she sees that you are fulfilled with or without her, when she realizes that your world doesn't pause just because she enters or exits, she steps different, she speaks different, she gives you more. Because the man who doesn't need her gets all of her. Here's a cold truth. Most men don't want to accept. The more you express how much you want her, the less she wants you. Now, I'm not saying you should play games or pretend you're disinterested. I'm saying attraction dies the second she feels like she's already conquered you. You've got to let her wonder if she has you, because the chase is real for both men and women, and if you become predictable, always available, overly expressive with your need for her, she stops craving you. She's not wired to chase comfort, she's wired to chase challenge. Be the man she can never quite pin down. That's what gets you what you want. Never underestimate the power of walking away. Not out of anger, not out of manipulation, but out of self-respect. There will be moments when you know she's testing you. She's seeing how far she can push, how much she can get away with. Most men fold, they rationalize, they beg. But the man who simply stands up, turns and walks, without raising his voice, without explaining, he earns a kind of respect she doesn't even understand, because he's telling her something deeper than words ever could. You don't get to play with me. That silence, that exit, that refusal to entertain nonsense, that's when she realizes you're not like the rest. Now let's talk about emotional fluency. Most guys think being stoic means being robotic. That's not power, that's disconnection. Real emotional control means knowing what you feel but not being ruled by it. You're calm in the chaos, clear in the confusion, and stable in the storm. You can express pain without falling apart. You can set boundaries without exploding. That's what separates a man from a boy in her eyes. Because a woman will test your emotional center over and over again, not to destroy you, but to find your strength. And when she realizes you have the capacity to feel, but not to be broken, that's when the obsession begins. Here's something nobody tells you. The less you seek to be understood, the more magnetic you become. Women love a mystery. They're drawn to stories, symbols, vibes they can't quite explain. If you spell yourself out too clearly, you rob her of the joy of discovery. Don't always explain your thoughts. Let your actions speak louder than your explanations. Let her study your silences, your patterns, your moods. The more she wonders, the more she invests. And the more she invests, the more emotionally hooked she becomes. Because what she had to earn, she'll protect. What she got easily, she'll forget. Understand this well. A woman doesn't fall in love with your words. She falls in love with your world. If your world is chaotic, empty, built around her attention, you become disposable. But if your world is ordered, abundant, and purposeful, she'll fight to be part of it. That's why kings don't chase women. They attract them by building kingdoms worth entering. You want her attention? Build something worth her attention. Master your craft. Get fit. Stay disciplined. Speak with intention. Move like you know where you're going. Because the man who knows where he's going never needs to ask who's coming with him. Here's where most guys fail. They confuse attention with power. Just because she's texting you doesn't mean she's invested. Just because she sleeps with you doesn't mean she's loyal. You've got to learn to read effort, not just signals. Is she aligning her actions with your frame? Is she investing without prompting? Is she trying to earn her place in your life, or just enjoying your validation? The man who sees clearly doesn't get manipulated. He watches patterns, not promises, because he knows real power isn't about getting her attention, it's about making her earn yours. Women don't fall for words, they fall for patterns. Your consistency, your energy, your emotional climate, these are what matter. If you're stable one day and needy the next, she'll sense weakness. If you say you're high value but tolerate disrespect, she'll know it's an act. But if your actions always align with your standards, even when it costs you her attention, then she'll start viewing you as irreplaceable, because you become a rare breed, and in a world full of men performing for approval, you stand out as the one who never folded. That's what she wants, but will never admit. Let's be real. The moment you start over-investing emotionally, you hand over your power. That doesn't mean you become cold. It means you stay centered. You don't get too high when she praises you. You don't get too low when she withdraws. You remain in equilibrium, because when she sees that her presence or absence doesn't rattle your frame, she starts to see you as unshakable. And unshakable men get chosen, not because they chase, but because they attract. Not because they please, but because they lead. And leadership, when done right, isn't loud. It's a presence she feels more than hears. One of the most misunderstood dynamics in dating is dominance. Real dominance isn't forceful. It's not about controlling her. It's about controlling yourself. Your tone, your energy, your direction. The dominant man doesn't raise his voice. He lowers it. He doesn't demand respect. He commands it through his stillness, through his discipline, through his non-reaction. And when she feels that, when she realizes she can't push you off your center, she doesn't rebel, she relaxes. Because women are tired of leading, tired of guessing, tired of carrying the emotional load. The dominant man takes that weight off just by being who he is. Finally, never forget this. The man who gets what he wants from women doesn't try to get it. He becomes the man who naturally receives it. It's not a pursuit, it's a transformation. It's choosing self-respect over approval, standards over lust, vision over validation. And when you walk that path, you stop needing her to choose you, because you've already chosen yourself. And that choice, that alignment with your highest self, is what makes you magnetic. It's what makes her chase. And it's what separates the man who plays the game from the man who rewrites it. There's a point in every interaction where a woman silently asks herself, can I trust him to be who he says he is? And that moment doesn't come when you're laughing together or sharing stories. It comes when she tests you, when she pushes, withdraws, or disagrees. Most men collapse here. They get flustered, they chase, they try to prove. But the man who holds his posture, who stays calm, who doesn't shift to earn her approval, he's the one who passes the test, because he proves, without saying a word, that his center cannot be moved by her storm. A powerful man doesn't need to dominate her emotions. He lets her feel them fully. If she's angry, he listens. If she's sad, he doesn't try to fix it. If she's chaotic, he doesn't match it. He stands firm like a mountain. Because women don't want men who fight their chaos. They want men who contain it. She'll never say this out loud, but she wants to lose herself in a man who never loses himself. That contrast, that safe polarity between her storm and your structure, that's what makes her addicted to you. Not what you say, not what you do, but who you are when it counts. Here's the truth that flips the game. Women don't really want what they say they want. They say they want emotional support, openness, a man who listens and understands. And while that's true to a degree, what they really respond to is masculine containment. They want to feel safe enough to fall apart. And that safety doesn't come from you mirroring their emotions. It comes from you holding the frame when they lose theirs. The man who gets what he wants from women is the man who understands this duality. Give her space to feel, but never let her feelings dismantle your leadership. Don't let her validation become your drug. One of the easiest traps to fall into is adjusting your behavior based on how she reacts. She praises your silence, so you go more quiet. She likes your confidence, so you become cocky. But here's the problem. The moment you shapeshift for her, you lose her, because now you're no longer authentic, you're reactive. And women are masters at sensing when a man is performing versus when he's embodying. So stop being her mirror, be her anchor. Stop trying to win her, let her rise to meet you. The men who get the most respect from women aren't always the richest, best looking, or most charming. They're the ones who know how to say no without guilt, the ones who refuse to be manipulated by tears, tantrums, or temptation, the ones who don't let fear of loss make them lose themselves. You want to be that man? Then build the muscle of refusal. Practice saying no to drama, to disrespect, to anything that pulls you out of your truth, because every no you say to her chaos is a deeper yes to your self-respect, and she feels that more than she'll ever admit. Your silence is more powerful than 1,000 clever lines. When you're in conflict, most men try to explain, justify, or over-communicate, but a grounded man knows the value of silence. He lets her speak, vent, and spiral while he observes. And in that space, he isn't passive, he's present. She'll feel his stillness. She'll feel the gap between her chaos and his calm, and in that gap, respect is born. Because she realizes he's not trying to win the argument, he's already won himself. That kind of presence rewires her behavior faster than any debate ever could. You don't need to impress women, you need to impress yourself. The minute you start doing things for her reaction, you're on the wrong path. Go to the gym, not to get her attention, but because your discipline demands it. Work on your finances, not to flex, but because your future depends on it. Sharpen your mind, not for conversation, but because your vision requires clarity. When she sees that you're already full without her, she doesn't pull away, she leans in. Because now you're not a man seeking her, you're a man choosing her, and that makes all the difference. When she tests you, don't get mad, get still. Her tests are not meant to hurt you, they're meant to reveal you. She wants to know, is this man solid, or is he faking it? Will he stay calm, or will he collapse under pressure? Every test is an invitation to prove your depth. And the men who react fail, but the men who respond, slowly, calmly, with clarity, those men become unforgettable, because most guys flinch, most guys fall apart. But when you don't, when you meet her emotional storm with a quiet gaze and a steady voice, that's when she realizes she can trust you with her heart. Stop talking so much. Stop trying to convince her. The strongest men I know barely say a word unless it's necessary. They let their life do the speaking. Their energy speaks before their mouth ever opens. They don't overshare. They don't oversell. And because of that, every word they do say hits different. You want to be respected? Be brief. Be direct. And most importantly, be congruent. Let her see that your words and your actions are reflections of the same truth. That's what builds obsession. Not the flash, not the game, but the quiet force of integrity. If you want to be the man women obsess over, you must become the man you obsess over first. That means healing your wounds, owning your flaws, facing your darkness, because the most attractive man in any room is the one who has nothing to hide. He's not posturing, he's not pretending, he's just present, unshaken, unapologetic, whole. And that kind of man, he doesn't just get what he wants from women, he gets what he wants from life, because he knows who he is. And no woman, no loss, no rejection can take that away. A man who gets what he wants doesn't try to be understood, he just is. Because he knows that most women aren't looking to understand men, they're looking to feel them. She doesn't need your essays, she needs your energy. She doesn't care about your resume, she cares about the way your presence makes her feel. So stop trying to explain your worth, just embody it. Walk into every room like you've already been chosen by life itself. That unspoken certainty, it's what makes her lean in without knowing why. She won't be able to explain it, but she'll want to stay close to it. Stop seeking fairness in a world that's built on polarity. Masculine and feminine are not meant to be equal. They're meant to complement. Your job is not to match her mood, it's to hold the opposite pole. When she's emotional, you ground. When she's chaotic, you lead. When she's soft, you protect. When she's guarded, you invite. But if you try to mirror her, you both drown. Women crave a man who doesn't try to be like them, but instead balances them. That's where desire lives, not in sameness but in contrast. That's where the spark becomes a flame. She will confuse you on purpose just to see if you can handle it. It's not malicious, it's instinctual. The feminine test to feel the edge of the masculine. Will he fold? Will he snap? Will he betray himself to please me? And if you do, you lose her. Not because she's cruel, but because she can't respect a man who collapses under pressure. So when you feel confused, don't react. Don't try to decode her or fix her, just observe. Stay present. The more grounded you are in uncertainty, the more she senses that you're the rare man who can lead her through it. Most men want admiration, but what they really need is respect. And that respect doesn't come from being liked, it comes from being unshakable. When you're willing to walk away from anything that disrespects your standards, you become dangerous in the best way, because now your love isn't cheap, your attention isn't free, and she has to rise to deserve it. That changes everything. Now you're not chasing her validation, you're offering your presence as a reward for her consistency. And that flip, it makes all the difference. There is power in nonchalance. Not the fake, arrogant kind, but the real kind. The kind that comes from knowing you have options, from knowing your life is full, with or without her. That vibe, it makes her wonder, it makes her chase, it makes her stay up at night, questioning why you're not affected. And the moment she feels that, the dynamic shifts. Now she's the one trying to earn your attention. That's how you get what you want, by no longer needing it. Desire her, sure, but don't need her. Because the second she becomes your source of value, you lose all of yours. Lead with presence, not performance. You don't need to impress her with stories or gestures. You impress her by being deeply there. When she speaks, listen, not with the intention to reply, but with the intention to feel. When you touch her, do it from your core, not from desperation. When you look at her, see her, not the image you've built in your head. Presence is rare, and when she feels it from you, she'll open, she'll soften, she'll surrender. Not because you forced her, but because you gave her something no other man could, the full weight of your attention. Master the art of emotional minimalism. You don't have to match every mood swing. You don't have to explain every move. You don't have to prove anything. Most men overcompensate with emotion. They try to show they care by reacting to everything. But the most effective men are the calmest. They express emotion with precision. They choose their words like a blade. And because of that, every smile, every glance, every touch has weight. When you can stay steady in the face of her chaos, she'll stop doubting you. Because now, she knows you're not just a man, you're a foundation. Women don't fall for men who chase. They fall for men who choose. Men who can walk into any situation and decide what they want. Not based on fear, not based on loneliness, but based on alignment. When you choose a woman from strength, not scarcity, she feels that. She knows she wasn't a backup plan or an escape from boredom. She was selected. And that feeling of being claimed by a grounded man, it's magnetic. It bypasses logic. And it creates a level of devotion most men never experience because they never earned it through their energy. She will only ever submit to a man who has mastered himself. That doesn't mean controlling her. It means having such deep control of your own emotions, energy, and values that she naturally aligns with you. Women do not follow words, they follow states. And when your state is peaceful, powerful, purposeful, she will match it. But if you're insecure, reactive, chaotic, she will test, resist, and pull away. Want her to follow your lead? Then lead yourself first. Become the kind of man who doesn't need to ask for obedience because his presence commands it without force. In the end, getting what you want from women isn't about manipulation, tactics, or charm. It's about embodiment. It's about becoming so rooted in your truth, so full in your self-worth, and so clear in your standards that everything else falls into place. You won't need to convince her, she'll feel it. You won't need to chase her, she'll align. And if she doesn't, you'll walk away without flinching because your life is already whole. That's what she really wants, that's what you really need. And when you own that energy, you won't just get what you want from women, you'll get what you want from life.